Oh, hello James. As a gay man, I just wanted to warn you that this video is going to be incredibly unfortunate and deeply depressing. Depressing in this scenario means full of sadness and melancholy, and for that reason alone, I would highly advise you to find a funny cat video instead of watching this. The reason for the downtrodden nature of this very video is because I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite book series growing up, and now one of my new favorite Netflix shows, a series of unfortunate events. If you haven't checked my Twitter account or logged on to Facebook in the past 72 hours, you're probably unaware of how deeply I have become obsessed with this new Netflix show because it is everything that I have been hoping for since I was a small child of like 9 or 10 years old, discovering these books and consuming them at a rapid rate. And now I'm just so happy to see that the movie that was made starring Jim Carrey can finally be wiped clean, and we just have this like new representation of a series of unfortunate events starring Neil Patrick Harris of all people. I didn't think I was going to like him in this role as Count Olaf, but this show, it's so stylistically pleasing, it's so true to the books, it really holds on to the very core, the very nature, the very essence of what makes a series of unfortunate events such an amazing book series. I mean, if you haven't read the books, you can still entirely enjoy this show. I know so many people out there who have never ever opened one of these books before and had no idea what to expect. They may have seen the movie years ago, or they may have not even seen the movie because they never read the books, but all this hype behind Netflix's new series is allowing new people to be introduced to this wonderful universe. And James, I don't know, I think we talked about this a little bit. I don't think you've ever read the books before, which is surprising to me because you're such a big bibliophile. Bibliophile in this sense means a lover of books. That's not explaining it to you. I'm just talking in the very tone of the series, of the books that kind of shaped me as a kid. As you can see, I have accidentally assembled a Klaus cosplay, if you are familiar with the books or the Netflix series, because when I was growing up, Klaus was such an important character to me. He was a character who loved reading, he loved learning, he loved consuming the world around him and allowing it to make him a better person, someone who is well-read, well-rounded, and somebody who is always inquisitive and always thinking, always one step ahead of the game. And the Baudelaire children are just fantastic representations of what I wanted to be when I was growing up. Klaus was such a hero for me. I was a kid who never liked reading, up until I got introduced to comic books, and then from there, young adult fiction, which included Harry Potter and the series of unfortunate events, among other book series out there. I was just so deeply in love with his characterization. I wanted to be Klaus growing up. I wanted to be this smart, quick-witted genius of a boy who was just so unapologetically himself, somebody who wasn't afraid to admit that he loved books, he loved reading, and that's what these books, that's what Harry Potter, that's what comic books did for me, and it's kind of part of the reason I'm such a gigantic nerd these days. So I guess this isn't really like a review of the series, it's more of me talking about my love of young adult fiction, young adult literature, and how it made me a better person. And it's so great to see something that I loved so much as a child being turned into a wonderful piece of television that I hope is going to continue for 2 more seasons. I think that the plan right now, if you don't know this, James, is this first season covers the first 4 books. They want to cover the next 5 books in the second season, which hasn't officially been announced yet, but I'm sure is coming any day now. And then the last 4 books leading up to book 13 will be covered in the final season, season 3, because I mean, like, this is a show about kids. The kids are gonna grow up. We're gonna see them age right before our eyes. So I'm hoping that they turn these out fairly quickly. I'm hoping that we get a resolution to this entire series by the end of 2018. Fingers crossed, because I am hooked. Like I said, like, I know where this series is headed. I know how these books end. I know all the secrets. I know all the little callbacks they're doing throughout the show, the little seedlings that they're planting, to the point where there's like a big reveal at the end of the first episode where I was like, wait a minute. This is something that's going to come on later on in the book series. They're introducing it now. It's just so great to see that they're doing this, and I'm really hoping that everything gets tied up in a nice, neat little bow very soon, because it's just so great to see this happening. It's so great to see one of my childhood heroes, one of my childhood literary heroes, Klaus, being portrayed on the screen, and now I get to embody him. I don't think if I ever do a cosplay shoot of Klaus, I'm not gonna stick with this. well, I mean, like the jacket. It looks similar to the one that he's wearing in The Wide Window in the book series, in the adaptation of the book series, and I think I'm gonna try to do something with this. So James, I want to hear from you. I know I just kind of like rambled at you for a little bit about this show. I really hope you give it a shot if you haven't already. It's so wonderful and so great. But I want to know, what was one of your first childhood literary heroes? Like, as a gay man, like, I didn't even consider Klaus to be any sexuality growing up. I saw him as somebody who was so unapologetically himself and somebody who was so sure of himself, even in times of dire need, in times of great intensity. This is a kid who had to live through his parents perishing in a fire and had to escape the clutches of Count Olaf for 13 books, even though he didn't know that he was in a book series. I'm sure if Klaus knew that he was in a book series, like this was some sort of like meta shit, like Deadpool does, Klaus would be ecstatic to know that he is inspiring a new generation of young readers to take up his cause. So James, are there any characters out there that inspired you as a kid? Are you intrigued by a series of unfortunate events? Are you going to watch this series? Please do. It's so great. It's so wonderful. You would love it. We've talked about Pushing Daisies before. We've talked about my love of that series. And this show, I believe, exists in the same universe as Pushing Daisies. I'm sure somewhere Ned the Pie Maker and Chuck are out there. Maybe they'll like have like a weird like crossover. I swear to God, if Lee Pace is in any of the future episodes, I will lose my mind. But yeah, James, I want to hear from you. I want to know about your childhood literary heroes. I want to know about your favorite book series growing up. And I want to know if you think this is a good adaptation, if you end up watching it, or if you even plan on watching it, because it's good, I promise. And for all of you out there who are watching this as well, let me know in the comments down below if you watched a series of unfortunate events on Netflix. Do you think it's better, worse than the Jim Carrey movie? Do you think it's better or worse than the books? Obviously, it's not better than the books, but like it takes some liberties and like does some interesting things. So I'm excited to hear from you all. I could just like ramble on about this for days, so I'm gonna turn this video off now. I'm gonna get back to my book. It's not a real book, it's a sketchbook. I made it for a Hermione Granger cosplay, so I'm gonna repurpose it for Klaus. And yeah, that's my video for Gay Dude Straight Through this week. Hope you all enjoyed. Hey.